a very positive and a hopeful event. Why? Because the consequence of the departure of Sayyidina Adam and Sayyidatna Hawa alayhim as-salam from the paradisial state into the arena of good and evil, light and darkness, knowledge and ignorance that is the world, is the positive one, the progressive one, of gaining potentially the state of khilafah. Adam alayhi salam is only truly the Khalifa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in dunya. Inni ja'ilun fil ardi khalifa. He says to the angels in that great prologue in heaven that I am creating in the earth a Khalifa. This is what he says about Adam, and it is this that makes it legitimate for the angels to prostrate to Adam, not because of his state as part of a harmonious world of complete obedience and harmony with the divine will in Jannah, but because of the much greater human glory that comes about through being away from Jannah, but still being Allah's Khalifa fil ard. So in the Islamic perspective, we say that we do not believe in the fall, and that word does not exist in our vocabulary. What we believe in is the ascent from a kind of angelic condition of complete unquestioning obedience through the accidental moment of ignorance which is eating from the tree, shajarat al-khuld, to what is objectively a higher condition. In most human cases, a condition of potentiality, because we only potentially Adam. It is only a few individuals who truly have the state of knowing all of the names. And what is that movement back to this higher state? It's the process of ta'aleem in the Qur'an itself, in those magnificent opening verses of Surah Al-Baqarah, which really set the framework for its entire anthropology, makes this clear. وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. And he taught Adam all of the names. And the process of retrieval, which was the process of exaltation of man, was فَتَلَقَّى آدَمُ مِنْ رَبِّهِ كَلِمَاتٍ. And Adam received from his Lord certain words, فَتَابَ عَلَيْهِ. And he relented towards him. Or, according to some of the Mufassirun, Adam repented towards his Lord when he learnt these things, these kalimat. Now we don't need to go into the details of what exactly those words were, and the ulama have fertile abundance of interpretations, but it's clear that this is a process of education that takes Adam from his original latent, almost childlike state in the Jannah to the more exalted maqam or condition of being Allah's Khalifa on the earth. So the first fall, to use that term, it leads to the glorious consummation of the Adamic Khalifal perfection, which is knowing all of the names. So education in this sense is not merely the inculcation of knowledge, far from it. Education in the true Islamic sense is the entire religious process, which is coming out of the state of disobedience and gaining something that's even higher than the state of the angels, because the angels can bow down to man, and vice versa is not possible. So that's the first of the three falls, which is made good by education. And the second of them, the second fall, or the second expulsion, perhaps a better word, is the one that specifically relates to our covenant as the Ummah Muhammadiyah, which is the banishment by Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam of Sayyidatna Hajar and Sayyidina Ismail into the southern desert. He leaves them in the Haram in Mecca before the construction of the Kaaba, بِوَادٍ غَيْرِ ذِي زَرَعٍ, in a valley with no cultivation, no water, no cultivation, no grass, nothing, the most arid place in the world, the most unpromising place in which an old man could leave his young bride and his baby son And he does this in obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's command, because his maqam was the maqam of complete acceptance of Allah's decree. So this is, if you like, a second descent, a second fall, a second banishment from the verdure of Canaan to the aridity of the Arabian desert. And this apparent calamity leads to the highest religious state, collective state, that has ever been accomplished by humanity, because Sayyidina Ismail alayhi salam is the forefather of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And Sayyidina Muhammad, who is from Mecca, is made possible by that act of apparent abandonment by Ibrahim al-Khalil alayhi salam. So from that second fall, that second exile, comes a still greater, still more momentous reclamation, a definitive, final reclamation of the Adamic possibility. And how does this come about? It comes about again through an act of education, because the first words that the angel says to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam on Jabal al-Nur is Iqra, recite. Act of education. The angel is, as it were, teaching him. And what is he being asked to recite? He's being asked to recite in the name of his Lord, who created man from a drop of blood. خلق الإنسان من علق. اقرأ وربك الأكرم. Recite, and your Lord is the most generous. الذي علم بالقلم, who taught by means of the pen. علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم, taught that which he knew not. So the first purely prophetic experience of Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam is an experience of education, the language of ta'aleem. And the first purely prophetic experience of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is again education, ta'aleem. The same root is used. علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. So, وَمَا كُنْتَ بِدْعًا مِنَ الرُّسُلِ, you're not an innovation amongst the messengers. Absolutely not, because this is the Adamic state being reclaimed through the Ishmaelite covenant, through the second exile. And the consequences of it, the fruits that flowed inexhaustibly from that remote desert valley, as inexhaustible as the well of Zamzam itself, has been the ilm of al-Ummah al-Muhammadiyah, in all of its endless ramifications and perfections. The ulum of the Ummah Muhammadiyah, which are more exalted, more sophisticated, more diverse than the ulum of any previous Ummah. That's what I would refer to, and again, this is not doctrine as such, this is merely my suspicion of what's happening in history. That's the second of my three falls or exiles. And the third, in the midst of which we ourselves live, is the third expulsion from the garden, which is modernity. The expulsion from beauty into a desert of machines. Expulsion from a garden of nutritious meaning into a desert of mirages, false gods, confusion, stress, of ignorance, of a new jahiliyyah. And it's the nature of the third fall that it is not yet resolved. However, and this is particularly vital for those of us who feel weighed down by the experience of the objective material triumph of modernity and the objective defeat of the sacred civilization of Islam, that we should see it in terms of this historic pattern of cycles. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's essential nature is rahmah. كَتَبَ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ الرَّحْمَةِ. And if you attend Salat al-Tarawih with a pure-hearted imam, he's as likely to burst into tears following that verse as he is anywhere else, because this is the divine nature, and he does not say that he is under any other compulsion But he does say كَتَبَ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ الرَّحْمَةِ. He has prescribed